Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to sit down and chat with you guys, give you some updates on Kira and how puppy life has been going. I also wanted to play with some new makeup. I have the new Pat McGrath Rose Decadence palette, so I wanted to finally put this on my eyes. I have some new stuff from Pixie, some new lip stuff as well. So if you'd like to see how I created this look that I'm wearing right now and hear a little bit more about what's going on in my life, we're about to get into it. Alrighty, so I want to start out my look today with this e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer. I actually just did a little reorganizing and like a mini declutter of my makeup collection yesterday, and I kind of forgot that I had this, so I want to use it again because this is a really nice priming product if you have oily skin. I wouldn't use it necessarily like all over your face unless you're oily all over, but if you have oily areas, which for me is like right in my T-zone, you can just kind of press this product into those areas and it just creates a nice oil controlling base that keeps you from getting quite as shiny there. And of course, when I bought this product, like my skin wasn't as oily as it is now, and I haven't used it like all summer when I probably would have appreciated this product. So with the remaining hot weather we have left, I want to make sure I get some use out of this guy. Then I have a new product that I want to test, which is actually a concealer from Makeup Forever. This is their Matte Velvet Skin High Coverage Multi-Use Concealer. So this is supposed to have like 24-hour wear. It's supposed to be like water resistant, sweat proof, but also lightweight with full coverage. It's supposed to stay put really well without looking heavy and dry and cakey. And it had like 5 stars on Sephora. People seem to really be enjoying it, although I haven't seen anyone use it on YouTube yet, which I thought was interesting. So I was really curious. I have been continuing my partnership with Sephora, where I was gifted like the Drunk Elephant Retinol Cream. Then in July we did hair care. This month I'm testing out products from the Sephora collection. So I had a little extra cash after buying those products, and this is what I wanted to pick up. So since I have the Matte Velvet Skin Blurring Powder Foundation, I figured why not use these two together. So we're gonna go ahead and apply concealer first today. I got the shade 2.6. I really wasn't sure what to get. It's so hard to shop for complexion products online, and now you can't like swatch them in stores if stores even are open because of the pandemic. So I kind of feel like you have to just guess a little bit. And this is definitely more of a summer shade for me. It's not super brightening in the under eyes. It definitely is more of a skin tone match. I feel like my face looks really pale and pasty. Part of it is because I'm wearing mineral sunscreen right now, so it kind of gives me a little bit more of a purplish cast. But my body skin is quite tan right now from being outside walking the dog all the time. So I feel like once I apply this in the foundation, like everything will match my neck in the end. I just like my face is super SPF'd, so it usually is a lot lighter than the rest of me. So I'm gonna try not to over apply this. This does have a really large applicator, a doe foot applicator, kind of like the Tarte Shape Tape, which, you know, I feel like you have to be careful with because it makes it tempting to apply maybe more product than you need. So I'm going to try not to go too crazy, and I'm just using a MODA Complexion brush to buff this in because I don't feel like getting up and dampening a beauty sponge right now because I am lazy. So yeah, the coverage on this is really very good. It's quite full, it blends in really fast, and I feel like this definitely dries down quick too. It does not leave like a tacky or like luminous looking finish on the skin. So honestly, I probably wouldn't set this with powder. I'd be afraid it would look too dry and too crepey if I did that, because I think it's kind of pretty self-setting. I think I'm also going to take some up on this little scar I have developing up here, maybe a little around the nose. Not too bad with spots right now, so I don't have to worry about that so much. I don't know what I did to my forehead here. I just all of a sudden had a giant scratch on it. I'm just going to assume it was something I did to myself when I was taking care of the dog. I have more bruises and bug bites and scratches all over myself than I have had in years and years and years from the last like couple of weeks, because that's life when you have a puppy. All right, so I'm just inspecting my skin a little closer up. I think this looks really nice, actually. I feel like my skin doesn't look dry at all. This definitely has kind of almost like a satiny finish to it. I suppose it's not completely dry yet either, so we'll see how it looks as it dries down. But the coverage is nice. Like, it definitely evened things out well, but it doesn't like look like my skin looks like a mask. Like, I feel like the skin still looks like skin, which is really nice for a concealer. Honestly, you probably could get away with using this all by itself without a foundation if you got a really good skin tone match for yourself color-wise. I'm still a little uneven just because of the fact that my face is a different color than the rest of my body, so we are gonna go ahead and fix that with some foundation. But yeah, it's not looking flaky, it's not looking dry, it's looking real nice, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm just gonna go in with this same brush and buff on a little bit of this powder foundation onto the rest of my face, and that will be that. So speaking of the puppy, by the way, she's actually downstairs in the basement with Ryan right now taking a nap so I can get some filming done, which is really nice. I feel like within the last week, like since she turned 15 weeks old, I feel like we've really turned a corner. She just has mellowed out a little bit. She's on a much better routine. She's sleeping a little bit longer in the mornings, which is nice for me because getting up at 5:30 in the morning was a little bit brutal. But she is just a little love. She's generally a very happy, very fearless, feisty little girl. She is not afraid of any people, any dogs, pretty much anything except for the blow dryer. She does not like the blow dryer. I don't know why. I think she might have had a bad previous association with it, like before we even got her, because I know they had like just given her a bath when we went to go pick her up, and she was shaking from having had them just blow dry her. She really didn't like it. So when I tried to like introduce it to her later on, she really freaked out and like was not a fan. So we're gonna have to do some work on that one if I ever want to like be able to take her to a groomer. Side note, I'm just gonna use my little trio of Benefit brow products here to do my brows while we finish this story. But yeah, other than that, she's been a great little puppy. She is such a chow hound. She loves to eat. She is not a picky eater at all. Every fruit, vegetable, treat we've given her way, she has been more than happy to gobble up. Like, I know some people really struggle with their puppies being super picky and not eating their food. I do not have that problem with Kira at all. She has been very nibbly though. She definitely is teething, and fortunately, because she's a small dog, her little mouth is not that destructive, so she hasn't really destroyed like any of our furniture or anything like that, but she definitely, especially when she's bored, I feel like, and we're not immediately paying attention to her, that's when she'll decide to like chew the coffee table or chew on chair legs or things like that. The other struggle we had with her is that she had a UTI, which does look like it's cleared up now. She actually had to go to the vet on Friday for a little procedure so they could get a sterile urine sample from her. They basically have to take it out with like a needle directly from the bladder, which sounds really awful, but apparently it's a really fine needle, and it doesn't really hurt the animal. They kind of barely even notice that it's happening, so she tolerated it really well. The vet said there was no sign of infection, so that's great, but that definitely, I feel like, really made potty training super hard for the first like month that we had her, because it took 2 rounds of antibiotics to clear up the UTI that she had. And so just trying to get her to go outside, she would be peeing more often and peeing in small amounts. She had a harder time holding it because of the UTI. Like, if you as a human have ever had a UTI, you know how super uncomfortable they can be. So, for a tiny little puppy, I can imagine it wasn't fun. And I'm sure that also contributed just to her generally being a little more cranky. Like, she's never really in a bad mood, but I feel like her nibbling and her acting out has gotten better since that's cleared up. So I maybe imagine that she just wasn't feeling great all the time and was taking out that discomfort by being like overly energetic or being overly nibbly on our fingers and toes, etc. So it seems like now she's sleeping better and she's generally more content. So I am happy with that. So let's move on to the face. I have this palette from Pixie that I want to play with today. They sent this to me in PR. It is the Summer Glow palette in Sheer Sunshine, and there are a bunch of different products in here you can use on the cheeks. You could also honestly probably use this on your eyes, so this would be a great all-in-one palette. I think if you were traveling and you just wanted to keep it nice and easy. I did test this out the other day and I did like the way that it looked and the way that it applied. Everything went on really nicely and smoothly, so I'm excited to play with it a little more and show you guys what it looks like. So I think I'm going to start out by going into this bronzery looking shade here in the, well, technically it's in the bottom corner. And we'll just apply this to the cheekbones to add a little bit of warmth. This is one of those shades that I feel like could double as a blush. Like, it kind of straddles the line between a blush and a bronzer. And like, look at how beautifully that blends. Like, it seems really deep in the pan, but I feel like Sheer Sunshine is the perfect name for this. All of these are not sheer to the point where they don't show up, but sheer to the point where they blend into the skin really seamlessly and they can be built up, but they're not difficult to work with, where you have to be really careful about how much you're applying for it not to go on like too heavy-handed. Maybe I'll try some of this shade right next to it. This one has a little bit more of like a shimmer to it. We'll take this up around the hairline. Ooh, yeah, that's really pretty. So yeah, life is very different post bringing home a puppy. Honestly, it's in a lot of ways like bringing a toddler into your house. And if you don't have any children, or you've never had a child before, you've never had a pet before, it's definitely a little bit of a shock to the system. You know, it's a big adjustment because you just don't have time to yourself in the way that you used to. They need constant supervision until they are housebroken and you know they are safe and are not going to be eating things that are dangerous, like electrical cords or things that they could choke on, or, you know, stuff that you don't want them to destroy. So for me, I feel like it took a solid month of Kira being home. Really, honestly, like I said, up until basically she turned 15 weeks, I feel like I was mentally at my edge, just feeling burned out because I'm basically taking care of her all day, every day. Ryan goes into the office most days now, so I'm home trying to work and also take care of her. And I feel like the combination of doing those two things and also trying to squeeze in doing some filming and like Instagram stuff in between, it basically took every ounce of energy that I could physically possibly produce. And like I mentioned, she was getting me up at like 5:30 in the morning. I was basically falling asleep at like 9 o'clock at night. So I felt like I really had no time to myself after work either. Like, I'd make dinner and clean up from dinner. And by the time that that was all done, you take the dog out for a walk, she does her business, you settle in. Like, I would basically just fall asleep and then get up the next day and repeat the process. Now I'm just going to go into this kind of pinky shade here. I'm just going to use the same brush and use this as a blush, kind of more towards the front, the apples of the cheeks. Ooh, so pretty, right? Like, I feel like this just has a really pretty, very fresh, summery vibe. Very aptly named palette. And then next I'm going to go into the center shade here to highlight. I'm just using a little Wet n Wild brush to do that. So I've been listening to, well, a number of things. I've been watching Zach George's dog training revolution videos on YouTube. So helpful. Hands down, would recommend if you're going to get a puppy, like, you need to be subscribed to his channel and watch his videos. They're so helpful. But I also have been listening to this podcast by Baxter and Bella, and the woman who runs that site is a dog trainer, and she has an online program, like puppy training program you can also become a part of, but the podcast is free if you don't want to pay for the training program. And I was listening to it before I got Kira, and one of the episodes is about bringing home a new puppy. And in it, she talks about like the phases of dog ownership. Like you go through a honeymoon phase where you first bring them home and they're so cute and you're like, oh, I love them, they're so sweet. And then you kind of go on this trajectory where things get worse and worse and they get tougher and tougher, and you finally hit this like rock bottom point where you kind of ask yourself like, what did I do? Why did I get this dog? Like, did I make a mistake? And then it gets easier again and you kind of get through that rough patch, and then it's sort of smooth sailing from there. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, that's not gonna happen to me. I'm not gonna have those issues. Like, I can't imagine ever questioning getting a dog once I get one because I love animals. But let me tell you, after about 3-4 weeks of having Kira home, I feel like I definitely hit that point because I was just exhausted. Okay, so let's pause in the dog talk for a second so we can have a moment of appreciation for this beauty right here. So this is the new Pat McGrath Rose Decadence palette. I decided to go ahead and order this from the Pat McGrath website when it first launched. It's funny, I guess like once you finally break the seal and purchase a Pat McGrath palette, it kind of feels like it's just easier to do the second time. So I don't know, I just couldn't help myself. I really liked the tones of this palette and I felt like they would be a perfect complement to the original Divine Rose, which is the other Pat McGrath palette that I own. Also, they match with their pretty pink packaging. I mean, like, come on. So in case you're not quite as familiar, this is the Divine Rose palette, which is definitely more of a neutral palette than a rose palette, to be honest. Really the only like pinky shades in here you have is this like duochrome that kind of shifts between like a white and a pink, and then this coral that also sort of flips gold. This shade here is slightly rosy. It's kind of like a muddy burgundy shade, but I feel like this palette here is definitely a lot more actually rose. So I just felt like together, like there weren't any repeated shades and I could create more of that true rosy look. So I just went ahead and splurged and picked this up. Now, these little 6-pan palettes don't have any of the astral shades that are in the 10-pan palettes, which is like Pat McGrath's special formula. This just has mattes and metallics, but the formula of these are still really nice, and I do appreciate that she switched up the packaging for this 6-pan palette compared to the ones that have kind of like more of the envelope style packaging. So this one just has a magnetic closure, and I do love that you get the beautiful artwork that you normally only get on the like exterior cartons of the bigger palettes. So I have not had a chance to actually use these on my eyes yet, which I'm very excited to test out. So we'll go ahead and play a little bit today. I'm not really sure what I want to do. I never really know what I want to do. I just put eyeshadow on my eyes and we kind of figure it out as we go. So I'm gonna start out by going into Peach Dusk, which is this really beautiful peach matte shade, and we'll just put that into the crease. Ooh, pigment, you are showing up fantastically. I'm like barely dipping my brush into this shadow and it's picking up plenty of product, but it's blending really nicely. I'm using a Sigma E38 diffused crease brush, by the way. So yeah, as a person that's, you know, an introvert and generally is used to or kind of needs a lot of alone quiet time to recharge my batteries, having to constantly attend to a tiny puppy and take her out for potty breaks where, you know, she wants to run around and sniff around for 20 minutes at a time when I'm also supposed to be working sometimes, and then I'm feeling stressed about possibly like missing a work call or having stuff I need to do. Like, it's just been a lot, but I feel like, again, I'm finally at a point where it has gotten a little bit easier, which is nice. I feel like it came at just the right time too, because like I said, I was starting to get really quite burned out by it because I kind of felt like a single puppy parent. It's a lot to do all on your own while you're also trying to work. So if you're also one of those people that's like, oh, a pandemic's the perfect time to get a dog because I'm home all the time. If you're also working and home, don't be fooled. It's not a cakewalk. Like, maybe if you were currently unemployed and you can devote all the time to your dog, that might be a different story. But honestly, I've considered like having a puppy nanny, like having one of my friends that's currently not working come and help me take care of the dog for a few hours during the day, especially like the hours at work where I am the busiest and really need to focus, because sometimes that's a time where she really needs to go out and I get super, super stressed. So up until I could take her to like doggy daycare, which I can't until she's fully vaccinated yet, she still has a couple shots left to get. The better solution would be to have somebody like be here in the house that I, wasn't concerned about being sick from a COVID perspective, to help me take care of the dog during the day. So we've got a very lovely peachy haze going on now. So the question of the day is going to be, what color do I want to actually put on the lid? Let's do some swatching. So this first shade here is Pink Champagne, which is a really beautiful kind of frosty, rosy, icy pink. So that is what that looks like. Beauteous. Then we have Fuchsia Flame, which is probably the most unique shade in this palette. This one kind of has like a duochrome flip to it. Super pretty. Then I think this one is called Scandalous, which is the rosy bronze shade. That one is also really pretty. It has kind of almost like a copperiness to it. And then the gold shade in here is Golden Honey. I don't think I realized until watching reviews of this palette that Pat McGrath has a gold in like literally every single palette that she makes, which I'm not really super into. Like, gold is beautiful, but I feel like gold is already a shade that's overdone a lot. And if you have multiple Pat McGrath palettes, it's kind of like, how many gold tones do you actually need? I'd kind of rather venture out and do something different. But alas, Pat's gonna do what Pat's gonna do, and I know that like the gold accents are very much her brand, so maybe that's why she's making that choice. I don't really know. But either way, here are the shades that we have to work with. I'm kind of honestly leaning towards maybe using the gold, if only because most of the looks I've seen so far online have been using this beautiful fuchsia shade, so I'd kind of like to maybe do something different. I don't know, maybe we could even do kind of like a halo situation. I don't know, maybe we could do something using actually both the fuchsia shade and the gold. I have an idea. So I'm gonna take Hedonistic Rose, which is the darker matte rose tone. This is a Luxie tapered blending brush, so it's like a little bit of a smaller blending brush. I'm going to apply this to the outer and inner corners and create kind of like a halo shape. I love a good halo eye. When you have a lot of lid space like I do, I feel like halo eyes can be super, super flattering. So I'm just gonna kind of like stamp this on and then gently blend it into that other peachy shade. And then you guys will see. You'll see where I'm going with this. So I'm kind of curious to see how well this will go with a dry brush. I'm really not sure. So I'm gonna take some of the Fuchsia Flame shade and I'm gonna apply this kind of over where I put the Hedonistic Rose, like not completely, but sort of on the edge in between that shade and the empty space that I left. Yeah, we're getting something. It's maybe not quite as impactful as I think it would be if I was applying it with my fingers or with a damp brush. So if I have to go back in and dampen the brush, I will. Well, we'll at least start there. And then I'm gonna take Golden Honey and I'm gonna pop that in the center in that naked spot. And now I'm just gonna use my ring finger and I'm gonna take more of Fuchsia Flame and I'm just gonna kind of blend that into the gold. We'll kind of go back and forth and create like a nice little ombre situation. All right, yes, I'm feeling that. I'm gonna go back in with a little more hedonistic rose, right in that outer corner. Just gently deepen that up just a little bit. I think I'm also gonna take a little on the lower lash line, kind of right in that outer corner, and then a little more of that peach. And then I'm gonna go in with the pink champagne shade on a small little like pencil brush, and we'll pop that into the inner corner as a bit of a highlight. And maybe even take a little bit up on the brow bone to highlight as well. What do we think? We digging it? We digging it? I think it looks real pretty. Not gonna lie. I'm a fan. For $65, I would hope that I was. So for lashes, like I could do falsies, but I'm kind of feeling a little lazy today. It's Sunday, it's like relaxed vibes. So I don't know if I feel like going the full 9 yards. I think I'm gonna give the Urban Decay Lash Freak another go because this did give me really, really voluminous lashes the last couple times that I used it. So I think that probably will be enough all on its own, but we'll see. All right, so mascara is done. And honestly, I do really feel like this Urban Decay Lash Freak, it does some things. It makes your lashes so crazy voluminous. Like if you cannot get enough, like if L'Oreal Lash Paradise is your jam, but you feel like you could go even further with your mascara, you may really love this. It's just a little difficult to use. The wand is weird and it has a lot of product on it. So this is the kind of mascara that it might be helpful to have like an extra naked spoolie on hand to kind of like remove some excess products or clumps when they appear, just because sometimes this does pick up like way more than you need. But there's no denying that the end result of this is pretty spectacular. And I have not had flaking, smudging, anything weird when I've worn this. It doesn't irritate my eyes. So yeah, I do actually really like this for my particular preferences. So I think to finish off this look, I kind of want to go fairly neutral for the lips, which gives me a good opportunity to talk about this LA Girl lip liner. So I bought this from Ulta for, no kidding, like $1.77 or something ridiculous. And it is one of the nicest freaking lip liners I have ever used. The people on Ulta that leave reviews are not lying when they say that this is amazing, because guys, it is so creamy. It glides on beautifully. It has really nice rich pigmentation and it doesn't fade after like 3 seconds. How they managed to make this for like $2, I have no idea, but I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna question it. If they just keep doing it, we're good. So the shade that I picked up is Sugar and Spice, which is definitely, it seems like one of the more popular shades of this, and apparently this is a dupe for a MAC lip liner, maybe MAC Spice, I don't know because I don't own any MAC lip liners. But I do know there are quite a few shades of these pencils that are apparently supposed MAC dupes if you're into MAC lip liners. So I'm gonna go ahead and line my lips with this, and then I'm going to go over the top with a super ridiculously bougie product. So we have like the cheapest of the cheap, and then like this most stupidly expensive, which I think is kind of hilarious. So this is one of the Pat McGrath like lip fetish lip balms, or I think they're calling them now sheer color lip balms. So they just recently repackaged these, so now they have kind of like the slanted tip applicator instead of a traditional bullet. I think there were some issues with the bullets because this is such a soft formula that they would break really easily, so I think this just makes a lot more sense. So I got the shade Blow Up, which is a really gorgeous, beautiful nude that I figured would go with everything, would be easy to throw in my purse, you know, use on the go, etc. Although quite frankly, when I'm basically going anywhere, I'm wearing a mask, so no one can see my lips anyway, so really this is just for me. But anyway, I again had a little extra cash in my Sephora gift card this month, so I put a little bit of it towards this. They also were doing that promotion where if you spent $100, you'd get $20 off your purchase, so I figured while I had the opportunity to save a little money, why not buy a product I normally would never buy, which is a $36 lip balm. And I have used this a few times, and I will say, it does feel really nice. It feels like a very high-end lip balm. It's not waxy at all. It's super silky. It's thin but not greasy. It has a really lovely color. It's just like a wash, but it still shows up. And the packaging is absolutely beautiful, so there's that. Is it worth $36? I mean, honestly, probably not. Maybe like, okay, I could see them pricing it at like $25, which would still be kind of ridiculous, but like would be maybe a little bit more palatable. But it's Pat McGrath. She has a luxury price point. It's very similar to the way like YSL or Tom Ford or Charlotte Tilbury lip products are priced. So, you know, it's kind of just, you have to be willing to play the luxury makeup game when you're going ahead and buying one of these types of products. So anyway, let me get into applying my $2 lip liner and my $36 lip balm, and we'll see what the combination looks like, because I have not tried that out yet. So there's my little nude lip combo. The balm has a nice like glossiness to it without being thick like a gloss. It does feel really nice. I have to say, I haven't met a Pat McGrath lip product that I haven't liked yet, although I've only tried the lip gloss and the lip balm, so I suppose that's not a huge sample size. But yeah, I think this nude lip pairs really nicely with the rest of the makeup that I'm wearing today. I feel like my whole situation here looks actually really nice. My skin, I feel like, looks super smooth. I really like the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Blurring Powder Foundation. I think it's really beautiful, and the concealer, honestly, is really impressing me, and I did not set it at all, and I really don't think that you need to. I feel like that would be overkill. The Pixi face palette, beautiful. I feel like Pixi, their face products are probably the best thing that they do. They make beautiful, beautiful cheek products. Their eyeshadows are also very underrated in my opinion. I think the metallic formula that they make for their like metallic shadows and their highlights, etc., is just so buttery and smooth and beautiful. Like, definitely worth checking out, probably above everything else in their line. Ooh, you know what I forgot about that I was gonna use and maybe I could pop on a little bit? They also sent me over these Endless Shade sticks, which are little cream eyeshadow sticks, and they have this matte cocoa one. So maybe we can use this as like just like a little bit of eyeliner just to give the lash line like a little bit more definition. I normally would not do this after the mascara, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. That's another thing actually that Pixi does really well. Their eyeliners, specifically their Endless Silky Eye Pens, are incredible. And these shadow sticks are really quite nice as well. I've been enjoying the ones that I've tried. All right, so now I'm really done. This is my completed final look. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you guys out, and then we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts. All right, you guys, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come and hang out with me. I hope you enjoyed getting a few more updates on the puppy situation. If you are a fellow dog mom, I would love to know, what is the name of your puppy, whether they're an actual puppy or they're like 12 years old, because let's be serious, your puppy never stopped being your puppy. Tell me a little bit about them and why they are the love of your life. And if you aren't a dog mom, or even if you are, I would also love to know whether or not you've tried any of the products that I've used today, what your thoughts are on them. Do you like them? Do you not? Did they work similarly for you as they did for me? And if this is one of the first times you're here to my channel and you would like to see yours truly show up in your subscription feed so we can hang out again together in the future, make sure you click that subscribe button before you go. So yeah, on that note, I'm gonna let you guys go. Maybe try to take advantage of this little time while Kira is napping, try to film another video so you guys have more content to watch. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in another video. Bye guys.